Hello, Scout here. This is Black, of course.
How y'all
Wel-
doing?
Welcome to Clockwise Thoughts. Tonight's draft special, NBA draft special, 2020. How we never gonna get here? But before we get to all of that, let's go into these trades since everything is buzzing. Especially since Chris Paul left OKC to join Devin Booker in the Phoenix Suns.
I think they call this the hot stove. I think they call this the hot stove season in baseball when the trades start flying. I mean, considering, the whole free agency period has only been like what, a week or two since the end of the season. So I figured a lot of stuff would probably be moving kind of quickly.
This deal has been done quickly. What I'm sitting here looking at, and I can honestly tell, and because the tweet did go out, Ricky Rubio is kind of upset at this fact because, he was doing good and he saw things to come, but he's in that trade. It's basically like a 4 or 5 guy trade and a couple of first round draft picks. Basically, what they're doing is trying to get another legit name to help out Devin Booker, I guess. So, and why not have Chris Paul?
Well, I mean, that's kind of interesting because Chris Paul's at that stage in his career where I would think he would be trying to win a championship, albeit a legitimate one. So, not being a hanger-on. But, I mean, a mentorship role, I guess you could say that because like Devin Booker's not really a point guard, but to play alongside that type of veteran in, I guess you could say, a rebuilding, mode or trying to prepare the next generation. You know what I mean? That's pretty dope from the perspective of Chris Paul. I know he would have probably rather be in LA because I'm pretty sure he's set up in LA, but Phoenix isn't too far. So, Oklahoma City, I guess you could say, did him a solid in that regard. But
True.
You're probably gonna see a lot more diversity in that offense in the upcoming season. You'll be able to realistically move Devin Booker off the ball. I mean, we know the guy can score, but still, it's a lot harder when you have to literally go get your own shot. But when you got a setup guy like Chris Paul, helping you get to your spots easier and, taking the pressure off of you, plus, those late game situations. Yeah, man. I mean, Phoenix is looking like realistically 6th to 7th seed, maybe. That might not be a far stretch. You know what I mean?
True. What other news do we got? Basically, everyone knows James Harden wants out of H-Town, but the owner is saying, "Hey, you signed a contract, you gonna play." It's a lot of.
Well, look.
Go ahead.
Look. Let's hold on, because I know we're saying that James Harden wants out of Houston. Hold on, I know that's what the headlines read, but hold on. Let's just be serious about some things real quick, okay? Realistically.
Okay, go ahead.
You are ridiculously paid to the point where you turned down an extension that would have paid you like $50 million a year, $103 million extension. That was a 2-year extension. So you turned that down. With that being said, you are ridiculously paid. But at the same time, if we're being honest, if we're trying to be realistically some sort of objective here, James, what, aside from some jersey sales, which I know increases the franchise's net worth, but realistically, what have you actually given to the Rockets? You know what I mean? There are no championships. There are no finals appearances to speak of. And you've had everybody from Dwight Howard, you had a Clint Capella, a Trevor Ariza, an Eric Gordon, Chris Paul, a Russell Westbrook, and still nothing. Your regular season numbers are pretty much similar. You're still a monster, averaging 30 plus or so a game in the regular season. But then come playoff time, there's these flailouts, and it's just like, at some point in time, instead of thinking that James Harden wants out of Houston, because I'm pretty sure that's what the situation is, I get that. But could it also be said that maybe James Harden sees the writing on the wall to a degree? Like, they want you here, but realistically, you're not actually getting the job done. And the new owner, Tillman Fertitta, he don't look like he down to wait. I believe there are enough. I believe there are enough people. There's enough of a sample size not to be mean, but just to realize that that whole James Harden window closed. You know, the Warriors stood in the way. Unfortunately, you have the Lakers right now. If the Clippers can get, on track, and to some degree the Warriors are coming back. I mean, realistically, I just think that window has closed for the Rockets in the West. And maybe James Harden realizes that, let me get out of town, or try to get out of town now before they can realistically pin this on me.
Well, yeah, that's true. A lot of people were shocked that he turned to $50 million down a year. He would have been the first athlete in NBA history to have that. But he turned it down. But the rumor mill of where he's trying to go is to the Nets. And the Nets just acquired Bruce Brown and a Ford from the Kings, and pretty much secured a second round draft pick in the 2021 draft. So that's a lot of moving pieces trying to move him there as well. So maybe you're right with that one. He just got to come to terms and understand the writing on the wall. You may not get everything what you want. So you got to be a little bit better. Okay, what about this? How do you feel about AD opting out of his contract over there in LA? He feels that right now, what he verbally has said or texted, right now he don't have a team. He's waiting and seeing. He's buying his time. How you feel about that?
Realistically, he's going to re-sign with the Lakers. I mean, at the end of the day, stock, I guess you could say, is high, because I think the deal that he signed would have gave him the option in the follow, not this season, but I guess the following season. But with that being said, you're coming off of a championship run. So, you know what I mean? Either way you look at it, your price can go up. Realistically, though, we all know that this is all just a bluff, and that's part of the game. But we all know this is a bluff, because you're looking at AD, and it's like, okay, realistically, unless you're going to play in Golden State, sign for less money, play, in the basement, so to speak, with the Clippers, sign for less money. What are your realistic options? I mean, there's the East, but what are your realistic options to win a championship, which we know you want to? And you know what I mean? We can offer you the money to make you happy to be here while winning the championship. It's a win-win. So this is probably just, realistically part of the cat and mouse game that, they play. Player opts out, then a new deal gets renegotiated. But the whole point was that this was always going to be done. It was a foregone conclusion. I think that's probably most likely what that is, because I just don't see him playing anywhere else after the success that he's just now gotten.
True, but do you actually feel, since it's a lot of big men right there in LA, because now Dwight Howard is speaking, he's not going to play for pennies and stuff like that. Do you think the Bucks family?
Can I just be real? Hold on. Can I just be real? Hold on. Just can I be real? Okay, I'm sorry. Like, I have to put this out there, and I do not mean to cut you off, and I'm sorry, but I got to be real about this. I'm sorry. When you mentioned Dwight Howard, at the end of the day, not to be disrespectful, but I'm not even trying to hear that name. On everything, as bad as this sounds, Shaq was right about Dwight Howard. So he could have been dominant. Even with the injuries, he could have been dominant. And at this point in time now, I see Dwight as more of a backup center. You know what I mean? He has flashes in limited minutes. Yeah, he can be very effective, but he's going to be a far cry from the Dwight Howard of Orlando, which is the Dwight Howard that commanded max money. So at this point in time, I don't understand the idea of Dwight Howard saying he doesn't want to play for free anymore, or on a like a veteran minimum deal. And it's like, dude, you're not 20. and 10, and I stretched the 20 part. But continue. I'm
Well,
sorry.
do you feel with that? Do you think that he got himself wrapped up on doing the same way how LeBron James did for years? Finally got his body back into tip top shape and was like, finally can say, okay, I'm back to the Dwight Howard of old, and I deserve this. You know, I was here in LA before things didn't work out with Kobe and Steve. Now I'm here. Now we got a ring, and I helped. Do you think that's the angle that he's trying to play this, or do you think, hey, the man is past a lot of his prime? Do what you can do and keep moving.
Well, see, that's the weird thing about the situation because, and I don't believe he said this. I don't believe he said this publicly, or maybe even I don't think he's even actually said this privately. The sad part is, if he did say it, I believe he would be correct, though it would be deemed as being a hater. There's a reason JaVale McGee was starting instead of Dwight. There's a reason for that. So again, if you see the Dwight of old, then yeah, maybe, but there's a reason why he was starting over. There's a you had that going that JaVale McGee in the driver's seat.
True. Okay. That's a lot of teams over there in the West. Let's slide over there to the East now. Check out a little bit on the Eastern Conference.
How do you honestly stay in the West? Because unfortunately, there's not much that goes on in the East. Let's be completely honest. But hey, we'll transition along.
Hold on now. The Bucks has promised the Greek Freak they're going to re-sign him first. They just acquired Drew Holiday and the forward from the King.
Now, here's a weird thing about that. I didn't even realistically know. I didn't realistically know most of the ins and outs of the Drew Holiday acquisition. But in a sense, you basically gave up your starting and your backup point guard for a starting point guard. So I'm cautious as to where the backup. I'm okay with giving up Bledsoe. I was okay with giving up Bledsoe. I've never really seen him as living up to the money that I believe he made when he was in Phoenix. You know what I mean? The name that he made, I've just never really seen it. But George Hill is a very good backup. So you're going to lose that veteran and that actual quote unquote championship leadership on, commanding your second unit. And in some cases, down the stretch in big games.
True. This just basically happened a little while ago. The 76ers are sending Al Horford and 2 draft picks to Oklahoma. Yes, for that. And now this is crazy. No. You're about to be upset. Contract? Yes, they moved that contract.
I didn't think they could. Horford, okay, EB.
Well, time out. You got to think Doc Rivers is in charge of 76.
No, Elton Brand makes some things. Elton Brand's still the GM. You got him for big money, and then you moved him as quick as you got him.
Right. I guarantee.
What were the details of it? They shipped him to Oklahoma for what?
The Sixers trade Al Horford to Oklahoma for Danny Green and 2 draft picks.
You mean
so
Danny Green that just got sent from the Lakers, Danny Green?
Mm-hmm. That's why I said you're going to be kind of upset. So Green's supposed to went to the Oklahoma Thunder because, he got shipped out of there when LA required that guard.
For the Schroeder deal. Yeah, for Schroeder. So right. You mean they boomeranged him already?
Oh, yeah, Danny Green gone because Horford was, 4-year deal, $109 million.
It's the money.
They got that off the book.
I think Danny Green's contract allows you to move the money around then.
Right.
Okay, so it's crazy how but he's now been sent to Philly, which fundamentally fills a need because they need shooting. They desperately needed shooting. So that helps, I guess, if Danny
that
Green is
helps.
ever the Danny Green that we thought he was.
But hold on, that helps a little bit of shooting. They still got guard issues. Ben Simmons is not a guard. He's not.
No, he is. he is. He is.
Also over there in the East. Also over there in the East, Haywood declined his whole entire way until Thursday. Plus, that's what he's doing right now. He declined to opt or do anything else. Boston, the way how they're set up right now,
probably need to move the contract.
They probably do. You see how they move Kyrie's, but they probably do because I'm sorry, that horrifying ankle injury that man had, that's hard alone to come back from. So, and the numbers really wasn't whatever. Also, and it breaks me a little bit, Drummond accepted, his last year up in Cleveland. He's doing that. Yeah, that's all I can say.
He's going to be sucking up your bankroll again. Hey.
Basically, we're going to talk. I don't want to put that man out there like that because, back in the day, he kind of, he did have glimmers of hope. Right now, it's like glimmers to make sure he get the paycheck.
Well, at the end of the day, I believe seriously coming out of college, I believe his motor was always in question to begin with. Like, did he really want to play? His size, his stature is, you know what I mean? He's Amari Stoudemire-esque. I think he actually might be a little bit bigger than Amari width-wise, but you kind of luck into that size. There's only really a few ways you can maximize it, and one of which is to play basketball. But the thing about Andre Drummond, which I didn't really understand, what was the point of paying him big money in the first place? Even if you feature him in your offense, your ceiling is 20 and 20, which sounds amazing, but those are games that they don't usually tend to win. They're kind of like hollow stats.
True. And Cleveland got a lot of problems right now. I still say, we wasted a pick and got Saxon. He should have never, ever came there.
Yeah, you got to blame your boy out of Akron for that one. LeBron was the one that was touting him as, I believe it was that one game where they played like 2-on-5.
Look, everyone can hit and miss, but no, I'm not accepting that. The other thing is your lovely hometown team, New York Knicks, moved up on the draft board. Acquiring Utah Jazz's pick to go from 27th all the way to 23rd. I really don't know what they're going to do with that. I think they're going after more free agencies than actually looking to draft. But I'm not even going to talk about Knicks.
Well, I mean, realistically, man, we've discussed this, off camera before. At the end of the day, the truth is, and I hope I don't someone seeks legal ramifications for me saying this, but I'm just going to give my honest and truthful opinion. But like I've told you before, the arena is what makes the money because the venues that are there. The team is the secondary concern. I believe people have said this before. So unfortunately, the owner's not necessarily concerned with the team at all because the actual reason he purchased the team more than likely was for the arena, which makes more money than the team.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? With that, they're just like, realistically, the Knicks are always just looking to sell tickets. Just that the focus is using the arena for some tickets, sell the tickets, sell the jerseys, sell the tickets. You know what I mean? I don't believe they've realistically, I don't believe the Knicks have realistically tried to compete since the '90s, since when they would go back and forth with the Bulls, the Heat. I don't think the Knicks have really tried to compete since then.
Hey, that's somewhat true. Other things that's coming ahead was being talked about. We'll go back to the West for a minute. Klay Thompson hurt himself in practicing today. So that kind of damages Golden State a little bit. It all depends how they're going to use their draft pick tonight at the spot. But also, I still don't think, has Houston solved their coaching issues? And furthermore than that, has LA Clippers even, Doc gone? And what is she doing? It's a lot of people here that got some empty issues.
I think Houston picked up Steven Silas. He's an assistant coach, son of a former NBA player and coach Paul Silas. So I'm not really sure what his philosophy is going to be. He was an assistant coach, I believe in Dallas. I could be wrong about that, but I've heard that they want to run the small ball. They still want to run the small ball, which is really weird because supposedly some tape leaked of James Harden and Steph Curry, where James is saying he doesn't really like the D'Antoni system. You know what I mean? I've been on record repeatedly as to tell people James Harden could not run Mike D'Antoni's system. That is not Mike D'Antoni's system, even though Mike D'Antoni was the coach. That was Mike D'Antoni, the best of what he had.
So basically, it's some decisions that need to be made.
Well, I mean,
it's
like
not
I said,
like how when we grow. It's different.
You know what I mean? They have a coach. So at least you could say they can start there. They're gonna need to find a philosophy, but at the same time, they lost their GM, their coach. So what is really going to be their identity at this point? Because the team was tailor-made to run the former coach's system by the former GM.
Right.
So what pieces and assets do they really have that can actually, acquire them anything that can make them stay relevant? Again, like I said earlier, I pretty much come to the conclusion the window closed. There could be some splash in the pan moment if things break right for them, but at the same time, realistically, things did break right for them and they still managed to blow it.
True, but what do you think LA gonna do? With the Paul George situation and everything else, and Doc is gone. So, what you gonna really do?
Well, with the Clippers, that's a tough one because, like you said, I'm not really sure if there's been a coaching hire, but yeah, I'm not really sure how that's supposed to boil down. I'm pretty sure Kawhi, Doc being there was partially, in why Kawhi and Paul George decided to go to the Clippers, aside from the side of, just playing together. So it's going to be interesting how that works. I don't think they realistically got a chance to see their games work well together with load management, injuries, and things of that nature. So it's going to have to be like a retool, I guess you could say. It's just that retooling usually doesn't require replacing your coach. But with what they have on paper, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Pat Bev, they of course Paul George and Kawhi, they have pieces that could be galvanized into a formidable force. But without that galvanizing force, Doc Rivers, I'm not really sure how you fit those pieces together, just as without having at least some sort of tenure or clout to work with those egos.
Yeah, it got to be something, and needless to say, Um, mm, we will see.
I mean, it's not much
That's
else we
all I
can
can.
do. We gotta make it. Again, the draft is and realistic moments away. Honestly, so there's going to be a lot of picks that are probably going to be swapped. There are always trades on draft night. It's just that like I said, the hot stove season or hot stove league, with the player movement, it kind of had to get condensed and kind of had to move really quickly. But I don't think a lot of movement was going to happen per se until the CBA is effectively worked out. It's a shorter season. I know they agreed on that, but there's going to be a reduction in money. There's to some degree. So I'm pretty sure, teams are kind of hesitant to try and spend money now. They'd probably like to wait the year and see how the ratings pan out because, ratings are down. Let's just be honest. They are. And that TV money,
Oh, yeah.
those TV contracts are, what go to help pay those salaries.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting night for sure. But real quick, with the NBA draft just minutes away from starting, who do you have with number one pick? And let's just say it's by the Timberwolves. So who do you have going at the number one? Who would you have?
The Timberwolves have the first pick.
Yes.
Okay, you have Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need a big. So Weissman.
D'Angelo. You gotta think.
So Weissman's out. I'm out on Weissman right there. They don't need a center. D'Angelo. See, D'Angelo Russell's weird to me. I would rather play him at the 2 guard, but I get why you would play him at point guard. I personally think he's a better 2 though, but yeah, I mean the boards are probably going to have to be right on that one. They're probably going to take the kid out of Georgia. You know what I mean? Shore up their backcourt. Get some explosiveness out of their backcourt. Because like I said, D'Angelo Russell's a good player. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player. It's just I would rather kind of have him off the ball than on ball. But at the same time, this kid can come off the ball as well. So that can confuse your backcourt right there. So that's a plus moving forward. Now, you're going to need some shooting. Definitely going to need some shooting. So I think that's going to be a need that has to be addressed, in either tonight or in the coming days, I guess you could say, with how short things are. But yeah, they're probably going to go with the kid out of Georgia just because a guard for them would probably be a missing link that they feel that they could fill and not get burned as they have been in recent years.
True. My opinion that if they do go with Everett's kids out of Georgia, that meant the ball boy will go at 3. And then he's going to Mike and Charlie. And then, even though I'd rather have him at 5 and not to drop out of the top 3, I'd rather have him at 5 to go to Cleveland. I guess, where I'm a little fan. But if he does slip down out of 1, he's going to go at 3.
But Scout, let's be honest. He's going to go to Charlotte. Okay, I feel you on that. Okay. Mike, his airness, that's a lot of pressure to play under. I'm not saying like it's insurmountable pressure, but at the same time, if you don't perform, Mike is going to dog you. I hope the kid is mentally tough enough to have that. But more importantly, let's say, in that everything pans out exactly as LeVar has spoken. Do you really think Mike is going to pay this kid big money? He let
Feel
Kemba
like
go, so
true. I feel like this.
I don't know.
Michael Jordan is a businessman. He's a competitor first. He's always said he's a competitor first. What the maturity level of what the youngest ball brother has shown from high school to him going overseas playing and handling his body going through changes with this growth spurt. Mark my words. Mark my words. I said it here first. Mark my words. If he's not in the rookie of the year debate, it's going to be something wrong because he's going to prove it. I promise you. He's already being tutelaged by one mentor right now. Then you get the airness Michael Jeffrey Jordan. That's a hands-on owner. I understand your father.
If he doesn't perform, Mike is going to put him out. I mean, Kwame Brown, no comment. But again, I'm hoping that he does live up to at least most of the hype his dad has spoken to existence. I got to give the man credit for that. It's just that I don't know if he's gonna move off of Charlotte anyway. So, I mean, remember, you're going to need exposure, and I just don't know if he's really going to get that in Charlotte, even if his numbers are good.
Amen. I have the most biggest expectations for this young man. And yeah, I'm with you on that. Hopefully we'll continue to show us that he's right. But I can say, and Kobe said, you got to have that mentality. And for him to have one of the most highly respected player ever as an owner, and if he does go to Charlotte, listen, I know you've been listening to your dad somewhat your whole entire life.
Feel bad for that boy.
I ain't telling you not to listen to your father. I'm not telling you not to listen to your father. Go pick Mike's brain if you go to Charlotte. I'm just letting you know now. Go pick Mike's brain. Run scenarios by him, whatever else. Because if he ain't seen it and did it, he can probably break it down to you.
Yeah, but at the same time, picking his brain, I mean, is that going to give you, like you sit down with LeBron, you can pick LeBron's brain, but LeBron's basketball IQ is probably his biggest calling card. You sit down with Michael, it was more of a situation where Michael just didn't care who you were. So there was really no reason to think it out. It was just Michael didn't care who you were. Kobe, similarly, Kobe just outworked you. Like, even if you were quote unquote better than Kobe, I know that sounds weird to say, but Kobe outworked you. Like, it's just that simple. The talent and everything was just the showing of the hard work. But realistically, Kobe just outworked you. I'm not saying Kobe wasn't a student of the game. I'm not saying he wasn't. God bless the man's soul. He was, in my opinion, the second greatest two guard to ever play basketball. I'm just being real. Like, I don't think that's going to be debatable for at least probably 40 years. That's just me saying, but I don't believe that's going to be debatable, at least in my lifetime. He's the second greatest two guard to ever play basketball. Okay, but it wasn't necessarily the X's and O's that you could sit down and grab from him. It was just more the fact that he was like, you got to put the work in. And with Michael, I think that might be a similar situation. So we're going to realistically see if this kid is willing to put the work in to be great, because he's in a situation now where If he's slacking, he gonna get checked. Maybe a simple check, but he gonna get checked quite frequently.
Hey, time will tell. And time is up here. Clockwise thoughts. We do appreciate y'all for chilling and relaxing with us. And once again, when the time comes around, please come share your thoughts on Clockwise Thoughts.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.
Later.
Bingo.